Hi, I'm Milesy, and today we're going to talk about repairing torn fabric, which I think is probably something we've all run into in the past. You've torn your fabric in the middle of your project, and now you pretty much feel like you have to start over because the whole thing's ruined. And usually what happens is you have your seam ripper, and you're over here just tearing out stitches as you do, and oh no, you've gone too deep, and you've made a nice big hole in your fabric. And you just kind of want to cry because you can't stitch on this. And you can fix this pretty easily. Pretty much all you just need is the same color of floss as you have your fabric, although I'm going to be using this bright purple so that you guys can actually see what I'm doing. So what you want to go ahead and do is just thread up your needle as you would with a normal loop start. So we have our two ends right here, and they're just going to come right through, and we have the loop on this side, if I can grab the floss, right over here. And what we want to do is go up from the hole just above where we start to have the rip, and we want to be very careful when we're doing this. And we have these holes on this side of the tear and these holes on that side of the tear, and then this one right in the middle. And you're just going to take your needle, skip that middle one, and pull it right through the loop, just like you normally would, just like this. And be very gentle, you don't want to pull this at all, and we're just going to keep doing this. Go through this hole, and come through the next, just like this. Very gentle. Go through this hole, come through the next, and pull it. And you're going to notice that this isn't really holding very well. That's fine. This is just the first layer of stitching that we're going to do. This is pretty much This is pretty much just to lie down some stitches that we will be able to use later on, because these stitches that we're putting down right here are what we're going to stitch through later once we've fixed it. And being very grumpy, that's fine. Okay, so now we're going to go through the next layer, or the next row, and we're going to come through, and none of those really held. That's fine. We just needed something there for the floss to grab onto when we're stitching. And we're going to do the same thing going up. Just go through each row of stitches, or of holes, and we're kind of creating this crisscross pattern across the hole, is what we're doing. And you're going to wind up, this is going to be a little bit puffy, but that's fine, because you can still finish your project. And ultimately, that's what we want to be able to do, is finish our project. And you don't want to pull this tight at all, because the object is not to suture it all together. We are just creating a new lattice work to stitch on when we're ready to go. And now we're going to pull it through the same hole right here, just to have it come across evenly. And we're going to go down now. So we come through this hole, and we've gone through that one. And then we come up here. And we come down through this hole. Come up. Down. Where is it? It's a little bit hard to see here. Through this one. And then this last one right here. And you'll notice that this part here is very puffy, and that's fine, because if this is full coverage, you're going to be stitching over everything around it as well as over this, so you won't really be able to tell. If this isn't full coverage, you won't want to do the up and down bits right here, these little vertical bits, just because at this point you're only repairing the hole to hide it, and if you're using the same color floss, it won't be as noticeable. So we're just going to pull this over here and just create a very loose knot down toward the bottom just to get this out of the way. And now that we have this done, we need to actually stitch over it. And I'm using this nice bright orange so that you guys can see what I'm doing. And we'll start right about here just to give it a good run up. And we'll start right here. That looks like a better place. And this is 14 count, so I am using 4 strands. Partially so that you guys can see what I'm doing, and partially so that it will cover up that purple, and that's why you want to use the same color floss as fabric. And at this point we are just going to stitch as we would normally, and I will come back once I've got this row finished and we're ready to go on to the next one. Okay, we've got our top row done, so now we're just going to stitch on the next one. And for the first stitch, it's going to be pretty easy. It's just a stitch as you would, normally. Dropped the needle. But now when we get into the area where it's torn, you're going to have to just kind of eyeball where you're putting your needle, because we have created a new weave that's not the same as the fabric. So it looks like, just judging by what's above it, this should go about right here. And you're going to get some resistance because you're going through the torn fabric and you're going through all of what you've stitched previously. And we're just going to go very loosely. You want almost no tension on these stitches at all. And they're not going to be the prettiest. You're going to have to really practice and get used to eyeballing where your stitches go. And we're going to put that right there, where there's absolutely nothing. And don't pull them tight at all, because you will pull it right through everything. You just want to pull it tight enough to where it holds its shape. Just like this. Up through here. About right there, I think, is where it wants to go. Very, very loose stitches. Where are we at? Through here, down through there. And we're starting to get to the end of it. Looks like it comes about right here. Looks like I'm also going low a little bit. So let's fix that. Come up. Right here. Come on. And this is probably a little bit easier to do in a hoop. I'm doing this in hand just because it's easier to film this way. And there we go. We're out of the woods. And we have completed our first row, just about, on our new weave that we have done with the purple thread. And now we can start going a little bit more tight on the tension. And we can kind of convince these stitches to go a little bit higher if we think that they are a little too low. And then we're just going to do one more row for good luck. So there's that one. And there we go. There are a few little rows over top of what we've done, and you can see that they aren't really perfect. Let's really zoom in on there. These stitches aren't perfect. They are a little bit messy, but that's a lot better than having to start completely over after you've spent 50 hours working on this thing already. But there we go. I hope you guys found this helpful, and if you have any questions about this or anything else you'd like to see me cover, please put those down in the comments below, and I will get to them as soon as I can. But until then, thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, all that fun stuff. Make sure you check me out on social media, and I will see you next time. Bye! Thank you for watching. If you would like to support future videos and get some neat stuff in return, please head over to my Patreon page. Your support means a lot to me and goes a long way. If you're not in a position to donate, consider sharing this video with your friends to help this channel grow. Otherwise, please enjoy this goat.